Republican candidate for governor.
Have sexual relations.
I realize that this is something he is
We're not going to be able to solve our problems if we get distracted by sideshows and carnival barkers.
One Republican, one Democrat, and you discuss the issues that matter in today's local, state, national, and global politics. Hosted by Steve Hickson with co-hosts John Stanberry and Franklin Chansey. This is Backfire.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Backfire with Franklin Chansey, John Stanberry, myself, Steve Doughball Hickson, and my chief engineer, Daniel Brantley. All right.
Daniel, who's your assistant engineer?
Or my chief engineer. What did I say? Assistant engineer? Chief engineer.
Who's the assistant chief?
Yeah, I don't know. Reading the the Chattanooga paper this morning, something got Franklin's attention and mine is that painkillers now overtake smoking in Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee's been one of the worst states for abuse of prescription pain meds.
That's terrible. Also, the City Council in Chattanooga approved beer for the movies.
Yeah. Why not?
All right, everybody can go run Chattanooga to watch your movies now, right? Drink your beer.
Well, I guess it could happen.
Before we get started, I want to say congratulations to Ken Webb retiring from Cleveland Utilities. Really a great guy. So congratulations, Ken. Hope you enjoy the rest of it. Our fire ban going on here locally. Unbelievable. Hopefully, I think Saturday we're supposed to have some rain now.
I think I saw that we're fully 50% below normal rainfall levels for the year.
You know what's really sad that goes along with, and this number's not accurate, but it'll give you the gist of it. Of 53, 4, something like that, fires they've been fighting the last week or two, about 47 of them are arson.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Related fires.
I didn't realize I saw something that's 1,200 and something fires per year in Tennessee like that. I believe that's what it said. But
and Polk County, by the way, Polk County schools are closed.
Well, yesterday was as smoky downtown as I could remember ever.
Well, here's the deal. You know what's going on in Polk County? There's enough smoke in the air that it's setting the smoke detectors off in the schools. And so they can't, they clear the schools because they have to when the smoke alarms go off. And by the time they get back in the school, it goes off again.
Mm. Well,
because some dummy either A, threw a cigarette out or started I talked to one of the rangers up there last week, and he said a lot of those are people with campfires and they don't get them out. And look, I was a Boy Scout. You stand over that fire and you pour water on it and you stir it and you dig in it and you kick it until it's out.
And pour water on it.
But some of them are intentional arson fires.
They just caught 2 more people that had...
Well, put them under the jail.
Yeah, I think I saw something about there's a $2,500 reward if you see anybody.
Well, I saw that one kid had pled guilty to setting 3 of them.
The one on Signal Mountain?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
I just don't understand it. Is it just a thrill? I mean, just the thrill of something?
Look, you all can get mad at me the way my children do because I tie everything together. It's a culture.
Mad at you?
It's a culture that is self-absorbed and indulged.
Mm-hmm.
And so some dummy goes out there and goes, gosh, I like watching the fire burn. And instead of feeling like they're a part of a larger community that's damaged by something like that, they don't care. I want to see it burn, so I set it on fire.
Here it is. 1,238 wildfires have been burned across the state each year. And about 50% of those are suspected arson. Crazy. Y'all have a good week?
Sweet.
Where's your safety pins?
I don't have a safety pin. I won't be wearing a safety pin.
John knows what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I know what you're talking about.
What is the deal with the safety pins?
It's more of dividing America.
You put a safety pin and wear it on your
frankly,
lapel.
Is it not a outward representation of dividing America?
What is it? Let's talk about what it is. Versus a safety pin, you wear it on your body somewhere, So
to
it's
show that you're
visibly
not a
seen.
Trump person, that you didn't vote for Trump, and that it was mainly started out of the LGBT
And it's safe for you to come talk to me about the election if you see me wearing a safety.
In other words, it's dividing America.
I think the notion that those folks are dividing America is a little silly.
Well, now
To be
Franklin may have a point. I will have to say Franklin may have a point there, because you remember how upset we were at the McCain riots and the Romney riots. Oh, wait, that's right. There weren't any McCain riots or Romney riots. It was the left that always riots.
Okay.
Well, there has been
Were
a
there
lot of
McCain
rioting.
riots or Romney riots, Franklin?
In this case, that would be the left, who apparently is going to have voted roughly 1.5 million to 2 million more votes for the losing candidate.
Oh, is there something wrong with that?
Well, it's the system we have, so it's not a sour grapes kind of thing.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
For you to bring it up, sour grapes.
It's not. But it is a fact to suggest that the majority side from a voting standpoint is being divisive is a little strange. Particularly in light of what's happened with the incoming administration.
But you mean, so they're not being divisive by rioting in the streets, burning cars, breaking windows out, dragging people who voted for Trump out of their cars and kicking and stomping them in the street?
Those people, we were talking about people who wore safety pins on their shirt. This is a different thing, John.
Well, frankly, it's the same group of people.
No,
Whether all of them have a safety pin on or not, I don't know. But they're all out marching in the street. By the way, a large chunk of them funded by George Soros, one of the main Democratic donors in America, and encouraged just this week by Planned Parenthood.
Yeah,
Sent out a tweet telling their people to go out and join the protest.
Gosh, I didn't get my check. I don't know. I'm sure all those people got a check from George Soros.
Well, a lot of them did, Franklin. We know it. MoveOn.org is part of this. And by the way, they're violating their 501c3 status by being political.
Well, why don't we do something about it?
And by the way, Franklin, did you see the totals on the people arrested in Portland and their voting records?
No.
Over 70% of them didn't vote. Okay. So they're out protesting in the street in a state where Hillary Clinton carried the state, a heavily Democratic state, and 70% of them didn't even bother to vote. But they're upset about the outcome of the vote.
Why would 70% not vote and be out protesting, you think?
I don't know.
Well, does that undercut their chance of the system didn't work for us when they didn't participate in the system?
I got
to make that argument.
Here's another one. The day after the election, a record-breaking 100,000 people plus signed up for Obamacare.
Okay.
Wonder what was going on there.
Well, I guess they felt like they may not be able to. Yeah. Although the enrollment period is going on right now, so.
I guess the election, the loss of the election, I don't think they better get that there and sign up. I'd like to have been a fly on the wall and been able to sit back and listen to Donald Trump and Obama talk after the election when they had their little powwow. What do you think they talked about?
I'll say I think the president, at least from what I've seen publicly, has respected the system, and I think he's indicated that he wants to see the next administration do well. I think some of his people in the staff who leaked some details last week that were unflattering to Mr. Trump are not as concerned as he is, but so far I think he's done as best he can, except for the couple of press conferences where he's tried to make sure people understand how well his policies have worked, even though they were repudiated across the board in the election last week.
You know, I really do, and I heard someone talk about this, a commentator talk about this the other day, and Obama, bless his heart, I'm starting to feel sorry for him.
Oh, feel free with his 56% approval rating. Sure.
It is good personal approval rating. It's never translated to anyone outside of him, though, Franklin. Do you understand how badly the Democrat Party has been decimated by his 2 terms?
No, John, I don't. The Democratic Party, once again, turned out a majority of the country to vote for their candidate.
In New York and in Los Angeles.
Last time I checked, that was part of the nation.
Did you look at the county by county breakdown, Franklin? Overwhelmingly Republican.
It must be a true hellhole to live in New York or California, and that must be why so many people go there.
What, Franklin? Here's the point, though: the people that live there don't know anything about the people that don't live there. That's what happened to the Democratic Party.
Versa.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true.
Look at the county by county map. The entire country voted Republican. The only places that didn't were the major cities run by Democrats that are failing right now.
They're all failing.
Well,
that's your story.
We have 33 governorships under Obama's control. We now have total control of 2/3 of the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that the Democrat Party is one state legislature away from not being able to block a constitutional amendment? One state, they only hold 13 state legislatures. If they lose one more, you all won't be able to block a constitutional amendment.
A constitutional amendment to do what, John?
Anything.
Well, okay.
Anything, Franklin. You all are so decimated. Now,
John,
yes,
we're not decimated.
He is very popular personally. But it is never. They got drummed in 2010.
John, it is absolutely
They got
true.
drummed in 2014.
It is absolutely true that the Republican Party has done a masterful job of managing local politics. The gerrymandering alone is amazing what they've accomplished, and I'll give them credit for it on a political level.
Well, fine.
You will find you will make it a much harder argument to come up with why it's in the benefit of the nation, but we'll see.
Well, you know what? The majority of the people thought it was in the benefit of the nation.
No, a majority of the people didn't think that. Quit
Franklin,
saying that, John. It's not true.
First off, Franklin, we've always had the Electoral College, which you
I
all
didn't
were
say anything
completely
about
happy
getting rid of
with
it.
when it looked like
I didn't
Hillary
say
was gonna
anything
win.
about getting rid of it.
I tell you what, let's talk
Just don't say that a majority did something when they didn't.
Let's talk about the bluest of the blue states, Oregon. Did you keep up with what happened in the vote in Oregon?
Well, they have mail-in ballots in Oregon.
Did you hear what Obama said about Oregon?
What did he say?
Iowa. He was talking about Iowa.
Oregon is the bluest of blue states, and Hillary carried Oregon, okay? But their Secretary of State went down to defeat. It's the first GOP statewide victory in 14 years. So even in Oregon, we beat. Now, by the way, that guy was the guy that put the Christian bakers out of business because they refused to make a gay wedding cake, even though they serve gay customers. So that guy, by the way, folks, has now gotten his just desserts.
The Secretary of State of Oregon is a referendum on Barack
I'm telling
Obama.
you, it's the most
Really?
It's the most Democrat state in the nation. He lost because he said he was going to continue to use the power of the state to enforce pro-liberal socialist type policies, and he lost. By the way, in that state, even though Hillary carried it, we actually elected the first, overwhelmingly, the first statewide office there, and it was a woman, and she got more votes than Hillary Clinton got in the state, even though Hillary did win the state. They also, in Oregon, overwhelmingly rejected a corporate tax increase in the state, and they rejected a state-run single-payer health care system by 5-1 in deep blue Democrat Oregon.
And you think all Democrats think exactly the same?
No, I don't. Here's the point. You all are bleeding any Democrat that doesn't think like the leadership of your party and Barack Obama.
Well, I don't know, John. Are there more or fewer Democratic senators coming in than there were last year?
Well, frankly,
are there more or
there
fewer
more.
Democratic congressmen coming in?
You're right. And let's wait and see what happens in 2 years when you all have 2/3 of the seats up to defend.
I think that's
and you'll
fine,
see the
John.
Republicans increase their hold in the U.S. Senate.
It could happen.
It will happen.
It could happen.
By the way, David Duke came in 7th in Louisiana. So the Republicans in Louisiana did not vote for him at all. And in that runoff election, we will take that seat as well, most likely.
Okay. You already had it, so it's not an increase.
You all were going to take it. You were going to take everything. You didn't take the Senate.
Okay.
You didn't take the House. And you didn't keep the presidency.
Okay, John. I am really looking forward to your magnificent efforts at governing as I watch the Republican Party squabble with itself already all week.
Squabble with itself.
Yes.
You haven't looked at what's going on in the Democrat Party?
Wait a minute.
Let's find out. We should. We lost the
I
election.
know what he's talking about. I want to ask this. 4,000 political appointees have got to be done. Now then, Trump has been president a week now, And all over I've been watching a lot of CNN. I've been taking your advice this week. And all they talk about is everything that's going wrong with the transition. Also, all they're talking about is that Trump is so far behind in his transition team. He has no clue what he's doing. They have no
One
clue.
of the leaks out of the White House last week.
I mean, but it's less than a week, and they're sitting there complaining that first of all, let me ask you,
First of
what
all,
in the world?
First of all, he's had a transition team in effect for months. Number one, both sides do that. There's a law set up to encourage that, so they actually could be working on this for months coming into this. This is not in a week. Well, part of the concern is there were several agencies of government, whole cabinet posts, where nobody from the Trump transition team had even talked to them yet.
What in the world is there 4,000? Is this too much bureaucracy? 4,000 appointees? That sounds like a lot of people.
The incoming president gets to select his own team.
I understand that, but 4,000.
Well, you're talking about 8 or 9 different cabinet agencies. You're talking about the top leadership in several of these, so it's not as much as you think.
I mean, do you think there's some of it we can get rid of?
Well, this is the top of these departments, not the bottom.
Well, actually, that's been one of the hallmarks of this administration. When Bush was in office, there was a handful of people in the government making over $180,000 a year. In Obama's government, there are hundreds of people in these departments making over $180,000 a year.
In Obama's government, there are fewer government employees than there were when
Franklin,
he came into
I'll bring you the
office.
numbers on the people being
fact.
paid over $180,000, and it has exploded under Obama. Oh, and by the way, when he talked about the national popular vote, did you notice what the national popular vote was for the House of Representatives, Franklin?
I have not seen.
Would you like to hear that?
I'm sure you're going to tell me whether.
Well, the national popular vote victory margin for the Republicans has expanded to more than 3.7 million votes. They've beaten the Democrats by more than 3 whole percentage points.
So what you're saying is that Hillary Clinton
was the bottom of the barrel.
Outpolled.
No, Hillary Clinton is ahead by about 700,000 votes
nationally. Actually, it's over
nationally.
1 million now.
Okay, House
growing,
Republicans are over them by 3.7 million and growing. So we are 3 times, almost 4 times the national popular vote margin than Hillary.
Okay. Well, all
there you
politics is
go.
local,
Republican
right?
politics. The popular vote chose Republican governance overwhelming.
We will see, John, if they're actually able
numbers
to
are
govern.
numbers, Franklin.
I want to get back to this political appointees. All I hear is the Democrats raising Cain about this and about that, and that Trump doesn't know what he's doing, nothing's happening. Of course, they said that all during the election, that they were winning and he was losing. But we'll forget about that for now because we know the outcome of that. But let's talk about Bannon. Why in the world are the Democrats just going crazy over this appointment Trump's made on this Bannon guy? I mean, what is the problem with this guy that they're absolutely going
because
crazy?
he built his recent career in his life giving aid and comfort to white supremacists and other bigots.
Actually, Alan Dershowitz was on last night, liberal Harvard law professor, Democrat, defending Bannon. And said, look, we throw these terms around. For example, this is Dershowitz's own example. The Democrats are getting ready to nominate Keith Elliston to be their chairman. Keith Elliston is the only Muslim congressman serving in D.C. right now and took his oath on the Koran. So what Dershowitz said was, if you put him up there, Hamas will cheer for him. But that doesn't mean that he's connected to Hamas or supports Hamas. So yes, Bannon has some of these fringe groups that have cheered for him and that have said, yay, but he has nothing to do with him. Even people who have been fired by Bannon, who are highly critical of Bannon, this week came out and said, we never heard him utter any anti-Semitic
What
comments.
he did say was his publication was the voice of the alt-right.
Well, it may be, Franklin.
Well,
everybody
okay.
deserves a voice.
Really?
Yes.
Well, Johnny, if you're the one who provides that voice,
Franklin, in America, that's called freedom of speech. We may not agree with everything people say.
That's true,
but they
Johnny.
have a right.
Nobody said he can't say it. The question is, why should he be helping to run our government?
It's a news
No,
organization.
it's not a news
Well, it's a news
organization.
as much as MSNBC is.
It's not a news organization either. It's an opinion site.
Well, it's entitled to its opinion and to put things forward
Fine,
just like
John,
anyone
his
else.
opinion is a white supremacist.
Franklin,
and
he
he's
is
a
not
bigot.
a white supremacist.
He's
or
a bigot.
Well,
And
you need to talk to someone like Alan Dershowitz, because he says people like you are the ones that are devaluing that word by throwing it out there as a tool to crack people over the head with.
Okay.
You know, I've heard nothing but good things about Bannon. He's brilliant. I mean, they say he's brilliant.
Now, he's a tough businessman. Like I said, there are people that have worked with him that said he's really hard. They quit him. They don't want to work with him, but they said they've never heard him say a racist or anti-Semitic thing.
Well, do you think it's a little bit early for everybody to be raising Cain about Obama's appointees?
No, Trump's.
I mean, Trump's appointees? I can't get Obama out.
Well, at least it's out in the open, because this past week, Louis Farrakhan announced that he had photos of all the different meetings that he had with Obama over the years and all the conversations that he had, but they kept all that secret because they didn't want anybody to know, because people would criticize Obama for meeting and taking counsel with Louis Farrakhan, a black supremacist racist.
Okay.
Well, your people just hide your association.
Well, number one, I don't know if that's true or not, because the sources you go to are frequently questionable.
The source
But
is
be that
Louis
as it may,
Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan wasn't in the government.
Steve Bannon wasn't in the government either.
He's about to be.
Well, guess what?
That's
the
the
Muslim
problem.
Brotherhood met with Obama in the White House.
We aren't talking about a meeting. We're talking about him being one of the two most powerful people in the White House after the President of the United States.
He's an advisor, Franklin. He's an advisor. He's not a cabinet secretary. He's an
There's
advisor.
2 power centers being established there, and one of them is not fit to enter the building.
Because of what?
Yes.
What did he say that's not fit? What did he say? What did he do that's not fit?
He promoted all of those articles that run on Breitbart,
Franklin,
which gave Aiden
what do you say to someone like Alan Dershowitz, who makes the
I disagree with him, what I
reflection
say.
that Keith Elliston would be cheered by Hamas, but he has no connection to Hamas?
Number 2, chairman of the DNC is also not in the government.
Well, look, I'm thrilled y'all are going to go farther to the left with your governance.
Okay.
What is going on with the chairman of the DNC?
There's going to be an election.
Well, they're trying to find someone that has some integrity, and that's kind of tough to find in the Democrat Party.
Okay.
Poor old Harry
Someone
Reid.
that wonon't cheat, someone that won't take help from the networks like Donna Brazile.
You mean like it turns out Donald Trump did too?
Well, guess
Yeah,
what, Franklin?
really?
Here's the
That's
thing
the-
about
no,
you all.
here's the
You all
problem.
got hoisted on your own
Everything John
petard.
says has a ring of truth to it. The problem is he's so hypocritical about it. He doesn't care when
No,
his
Franklin, your
when his
people were
candidate
helping
does
Donald
it,
Trump.
It's all sunshine and
You're
roses.
absolutely right. Your people were helping Donald Trump because they thought they could beat him. And
Not
guess
my
what?
people,
They
your
cut
people.
their own nose
you
off.
come in here last week all high and mighty. Oh my God, don't you think that Hillary Clinton had a moral obligation to say, no, I won't take that question that you fed me. And then 2 days later, we find out Donald Trump did the same thing. Is John going to mention that today?
Why
no,
did
he's
they
not,
give it to
because
Donald Trump?
all of his outrage is just false.
Franklin, why did they give it to Donald Trump?
Because they wanted to help him too.
Why?
Who's they? It was
the media.
Republicans at Fox who gave him the information.
Franklin, we know through the WikiLeaks leaks that the mainstream liberal media was
This
trying
was
to help
Fox.
Donald Trump. I know, but listen to me. They were trying to help Trump too. They protected him in the primary because
This
they just
was
knew.
Fox.
They just knew that he was such an idiot. He was
I
gonna
don't care
lose.
what your
And guess
criticism
what?
is, John.
They were wrong.
You gotta own
and he
it.
kicked their butt up one side
You
and down
gotta
the
own
other.
it. You said it. You gotta own it.
I do own it.
No,
Franklin.
you don't. You forget all about it. Sweep it under the rug.
No,
When it's
Franklin.
your guy, you don't care. That's the reason I don't take it seriously. Because I know you don't believe anything you're saying.
Well, that's not
you
true,
just
Franklin.
say it for political
No,
effect.
Franklin, that's
It
absolutely not
is
true.
true.
Well, obviously,
It's
Franklin.
been that way all along.
You're actually demonstrating, I think, what's the downfall of the Democratic Party.
Oh.
You all you feel so superior that you tell people what they think.
It
You
is.
tell people what they mean. Steve Bannon's a racist because your people decided he's a racist.
Sure, John.
I'm
Sure,
hypocritical
we tell
because you
people what they
decided.
think.
You do. Just
That's
like
right.
the guy
we
in
told
Oregon.
those coal miners in West Virginia
We're going to put you
bringing
out of
their
business.
jobs back.
You said we're going to
We
put
told
you
them
out of
that.
business.
That's
Hillary
what they
Clinton
wanted.
said,
We
I'm
told
gonna
them what
put
they
you
wanted
out of
to hear.
business.
We
By the way,
told them.
Franklin-
No, wait. Make up your mind. Are we telling them what they want to hear or not? That's what you started with.
Franklin, nobody
You
wants
switched
to hear
horses in
government is
midstream.
going to put you out of business,
That's
which is
what they
you told
wanted
them.
to hear.
Franklin, it's what your elitists thought that the rest of the country wanted to hear. And guess what? The people who don't work in coal mines, Franklin, when they see the government deciding to
We're
put an
gonna
entire
build a
segment
wall
of the
and
economy
bring
out
all
of
of your
business,
jobs back from
Franklin,
Mexico.
listen close. People are smart enough to know that if the government, the liberal progressive government, can decide to put one set of the economy out of business, they can turn on a dime and put another set out. And the people said, we don't want an oppressive government like that.
That's
We don't
very
want
fine.
liberal
Well,
oppressive
they got
government.
one. They got an oppressive
That's why the
government.
guy in Oregon got beat, because he put a couple out of business because they wouldn't violate their religious convictions. And the people, even in Democrat left-leaning
Yes.
Oregon, said,
And
we don't want
clearly,
that.
Clearly, this election, John, with the election of Donald Trump, was all about religious convictions.
Actually, it was, Franklin. The religious right voted
Yes,
overwhelmingly
they
for
did, John,
Donald
which tells
Trump.
us something.
Well, wait a minute, John. Now you're forgetting something. The reason Hillary lost was because of the FBI director.
Oh, except that Bernie Sanders doesn't even think that happened. He actually last week threw shade at her.
What did Bernie say about
Bernie
it?
said it had nothing to do with Comey. It had to do with her being out of touch with the people.
You know, Obama.
But I guess Bernie's a racist too, right?
Obama was saying the other day that she just didn't work hard enough.
Well, he's mad because his legacy's probably gone now,
Yes,
and he blames
he's
her.
going around acting all angry.
Well, he's going around.
Oh, he's mad. Where did that come from?
I didn't say he was mad.
You did too.
I said he thinks that his legacy
He
is
said
gone.
he's mad.
No. I'll tell you what.
Well, they hated each other to begin with, Franklin.
He's going around trying to tell everybody what a good job he's done and how much better everything is. In his mind, he
He's
just
such an
thinks
elitist. He can't imagine
we
that
have now
people
hit
don't
the
agree
stage
with him.
where you guys can't get through the same show without changing your stories.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I just said he's mad, and I went, he's
Look,
acting
Franklin.
mad? I didn't say that.
Well, here's the difference, Franklin. Just like Hillary said, you've got a public and a
It
private
only took 45
opinion.
seconds that time.
Franklin, publicly he's not mad. Privately he is mad.
Okay.
All right, I've got one last thing. We got to take a break, but I've got one last thing I want to say. The Electoral College, after Michigan win, came down to 306 to 232 for Hillary. Now then, that is a majority. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson. We'll be right back after this.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
New message. Who are you playing right now on the radio? We want to know who that is.
Check into cash. The cash you need today is waiting for you at Check Into Cash. It's your money, so come in and get it.
Get a payday advance today for up to $425. At Check Into Cash, we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
The cash you need is right here, so stop worrying and stop in to Check Into Cash today.
Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Guns, guns, and more guns. That's right, folks. U.S. Money Shops has just received a large shipment of pre-owned Glock 22s, 23s, and the awesome Beretta 8040D Cougar. These guns are law enforcement trade-ins that start at just $379.99 while supplies last. At U.S. Money Shops, there's no shortage of guns, so if you're looking for a great deal on a newer pre-owned gun, then check us out first.
Buy yourself a gun today, the better way at U.S. Money Shops.
Visit usmoneyshops.com for the location nearest you.
This is Teresa Gilbert from the Village Bake Shop in Cleveland, Tennessee. Do you have a birthday, wedding, or anniversary coming up and want that perfect cake? Need some donuts to sweeten up your coworkers? Want to surprise your sweet thing with a bag of cookies? Then come on over to the Village Bake Shop. Family operated since 1961. The Village Bake Shop is your first and last has stock for fresh baked goods that will feed your sweet tooth. The Village Bake Shop located at the Village Green Town Center. The phone number here is 423-476-5179. See you soon.
After 135 years, Hardwick Clothes, America's oldest since 1880, has delivered on our commitment to produce the finest navy blazer in America. This limited edition blazer was announced as the style winner in Garden and Guns Made in the South Awards. Crafted in Cleveland, Tennessee, we use premium Italian wool from the Tale Barbaris, custom Bimberg lining, and signature gold buttons. It's available through the finest men's stores or at hardwick.com.
No dealers allowed.
Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933, offering the best with over 70 styles of recliners, sofas, electronic lift chairs, full living room packages. Call Mike now at 961-7239 because Jackson Catnapper now offers sales to the public
every Saturday. That's right, every Saturday.
From 8 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Or call Mike at 961-7239. Or go see him
every Saturday
at 1911 King Edward Avenue, just across from the main plant. Jackson Catnapper, family owned and operated in Cleveland since 1933. 961-7239.
No dealers allowed.
At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we pay the most because we buy the best. And we make selling your car to us as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, bring your car, truck, or SUV to one of our stores. 2, we'll give you a free appraisal with no obligation. 3, sell us your car. It's that easy. At Buy Here, Pay Here USA, we buy the best. We sell the best and we pay the most. Visit us in Cleveland, Dayton, or Chattanooga, or go to buyheresellhere.com. That's buyheresellhere.com. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Dr. Christopher Chase, with associates in plastic surgery, now offers his patients the convenience of a Cleveland office at 2350 North Ocoee Street. Dr. Chase specializes for the ladies in breast augmentation, including lifts, reconstructions, and reductions. Also, tummy tucks or mommy makeovers, and facial rejuvenation, including facelifts, eyelids, brows, nose, and he also offers Botox procedures. Check out Dr. Christopher Chase. He is certified by the American Board of Surgery, the American Board of Plastic Surgery. He's a member of the American Society of Plastic Surgeons and the American Society of Aesthetic Plastic Surgery. Check their website out at aprs.md. That's aprs.md. Call for your convenient appointment in Cleveland at 624-0021. 624-0021. 2350 North Ocoee. That's Dr. Christopher Chase.
Train engineers put our heating and cooling products through almost every test imaginable. So while you're sending your kids to school, they're sending 10,000 volts through a compressor. Testing like this is the reason Train is so reliable, and why our engineers prefer their steaks. Well done.
Ready to indulge in Train comfort? Call a Train comfort specialist at Mechanical Systems, 336-5739. High-quality service and installation for more than 30 years.
It's hard to stop a train. Really hard.
You're listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson on Whoop FM. Call 423-614-5553 to join in on the conversation. Now, back to Backfire.
Hey, we're back, guys. What's calm in here right now?
By the way, you've heard some refrain. I'm amazed with these demonstrations that are going on that they're trying to say, well, Trump ought to do something about it. It's not Trump's people that are doing this. Mm-hmm. Now, Hillary, I thought, gave a good, a gracious speech, but I think since then, she and the president ought to directly confront these protesters and say, cut it out. But what I was getting to is in the 60 Minutes interview on Friday, Trump actually addressed the supposed his side of this equation. They said they're unverified accusations on Twitter that supposedly Trump supporters have done bad things. Trump actually called them out and told them to stop it. Guess what? CBS News sat on it. Didn't release that part of the interview. Now, he did that. He said that on Friday. And yet the media has been criticizing him to tell his people to stop it. He did that on Friday.
Who did
and they
that
held
now?
it. CBS News.
That Trump did?
Trump in the interview on Friday told his supporters, if there were any supporters out there doing things. Now keep in mind, these are unverified accusations on Twitter.
Yeah.
But he still addressed it and said, I would ask any of my supporters to cut it out. CBS News didn't tell anybody, didn't release it. Even on Sunday, didn't release that part of the interview.
What do you think about the 60-minute interview? Both of them.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. But what else did you think about the total interview?
I thought in general that the president-elect showed a little bit of humility, which I think was a good thing for him to do. I think he at least suggested that he may be more open to making deals on Capitol Hill.
Well, his whole campaign was about making deals and negotiations.
Well, we will see if that proves to be the case or not, if he can get support from his own party for some things.
They look
That
pretty
remains
unified
to be. That remains to be seen.
Keep wishing.
I'm not wishing anything.
Well, frankly, they've met. They're all on the same track. They're all in agreement. Everybody's on
Is everybody
board.
in agreement on keeping parts of Obamacare?
Frankly, we always said that the pre-existing conditions was going to be kept. We've always said that.
All right, he mentioned the other part. That's not going to be a
We've
popular
always
part.
said both of those, that there were ways to do that
That's
without.
an expensive part of it.
You're right, but we've always said there were ways to do
Is there
that.
agreement on what's going to happen? Is it just going to be repealed, or are they going to have a replacement and ready to go off the bat?
Here's the problem. That's a lawyerly.
No, it's not.
Let me explain. That's a very lawyerly approach. When we say repeal, yeah, we may repeal the whole thing and then turn around and put certain things back in separately. We've always said a lot of this could have been addressed separately.
All I said, John, is are they going to have agreement on that?
Franklin,
That's not
that's
clear
my
to me
point.
so
You
far.
all are so set on finding where there's some kind of controversy that instead of just saying, okay, look, he's going to replace Obamacare, some parts of it may end up back in the mix, but he's going to replace it. What you all did was, oh, look, he's backtracking on his pledge to replace Obamacare.
I didn't say he was backtracking
well,
on
the media
it.
did.
Wasn't just the media. Several conservative groups came out and said that, too.
No, frankly,
No, they did.
Nobody said that except the Democrat media. And the point is, we've always said that we would keep the 26-year-old part for the kids. We've always said that we would keep the preconditions. And he always said that. He said those were good parts of the law. Now, there are ways to do that without the bureaucratic overreach that is Obamacare.
We shall see.
I think it's going to be a savings account.
Well, we've asked for that for years. The Republicans, now, had we been allowed in the room when Obamacare was crafted, we would have proposed it in 2010. Actually, 9, I guess, when he did this, without any Republican input.
What do you think should happen going forward with Hillary's investigations in both the email scandals and also into the Clinton Foundation?
I think we have an interest in making sure the public believes that nobody is above the law. Now, that's tough because you already have her people burning the cities down. So, how do you keep the crybabies from being further inflamed?
I don't think it will happen.
Because she's above the law.
No, because he didn't care to start with. It was all an election year stunt.
I didn't mention him.
Well, he is in charge now, right?
Right. But what I said was, I think it's important to happen because nobody should be viewed as above the law.
He was asking what he thought was going to happen.
And you'll be happy with that, I guess.
Whether I'm happy with it, well, I think it's the precedent that President Obama established when he came into office, but y'all weren't screaming
No,
then.
it's more the precedent that Clinton established when he left office and pardoned Mark Rich for large donations of money. The most wanted man in the world at the time, and guess who did that? The future Obama Attorney General, Eric Holder.
What happened to Eric Holder?
Oh, he's been on the sidelines saying
he got out before the heat got started, didn't he?
Well, I mean, when you control the Justice Department, you can control investigations, and he protected himself, and that's that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's partly why we've had wave elections in 2010, 2012, and now in this presidential election.
Franklin, what's your opinion going forward with sanctuary cities?
Well, what do you mean?
Well,
we have major Democratic mayors saying they're going to not enforce federal law.
It's a portion of their economy that's involved. You guys are always the ones who are complaining about putting burdens on states and municipalities from above.
Federal immigration law is now a burden?
No. I'm saying you're wanting them to help you enforce it.
As part of the economy?
You guys, it is.
So, Franklin, tell you what it costs after you've already arrested a guy and he's sitting in a holding cell. He's already there. You've already arrested him. What does it cost to pick up the phone and call ICE and say, this guy's here?
If the ICE had the ability to come pick up everybody like that, but they don't.
Well, Franklin,
without massively expanding.
Guess what? A sanctuary city is not a city that has a policy that says if you don't come get him in 2 days, we'll release him. A sanctuary city is a policy that says we're not even going to call you. We're not even going to give you a chance to come get him. That's a sanctuary city.
Okay.
By the way, what happens when I decide that I'm a sanctuary individual and don't have to pay my federal income tax? What happens to me, Franklin?
John, stop it. You're making me giddy with excitement.
What happens to me if I decide not to pay my federal income tax? Because I think...
Well, after several years of not doing it and being sued and that not working, eventually you could get arrested.
Well, why don't I have the right to do that? If a Democratic mayor has the right to say, I don't like that federal law, I'm just not going to obey it. Why can't I say, I don't like that law or that law and I'm not going to obey it?
Court.
Are the rules different for Democratic mayors than they are for me?
Or Republican mayors either.
Well, I agree with you, Franklin. If a Republican mayor said, I'm not going to obey a law, I would say he needs to be punished.
Okay. I welcome that.
By the way, if the federal government, the Justice Department under Holder and under our new Attorney General, if they can punish states like North Carolina for not doing their bathroom law, which by the way is not even a law.
That's
federal government, Congress.
That's Obama's legacy, the bathroom
law. But they can threaten to withhold federal funds over an executive decision, not a law, not a duly passed law. Then why can't we withhold funds from these sanctuary cities for not obeying a duly enacted federal law?
I suppose you could.
Well, I hope they do.
Chicago, worst crime anywhere.
Yep. But come on, illegal aliens, we're going to protect you here.
I mean, what is the mindset of a sanctuary city? Tell me what a mindset is for.
Some people realize that the reason we have so many undocumented people in the country is a lot more complicated than people simply breaking the law.
You mean mayor? Were you talking about the mayors that are breaking the law or other people that are breaking the law? Because I'm losing track of who you allow to break the law and who you don't allow to break the law.
Just keep talking.
Well, Franklin, you just made that point.
No, you're not interested in what I got to say. Just talk.
You just defended the mayors for breaking the law.
I didn't defend anybody. I got 2 sentences into a response to his question before you fell in love with your voice again.
Okay.
Okay? I don't even know why we do this. We don't actually have a conversation.
I'm in love with the truth.
We just listen to you talk.
I'm in love with the truth. If you could try, saying something truthful, we'd listen to you.
As far as I can tell, John, is if I can't get the answer out in 2 sentences, you think it's too complicated.
For you, yes. You're making this too easy, Frank.
Sanctuary cities. I'm going back to my question.
Well, just ask
why have them? I've got to find out. He's against them.
Here's what I would say. This is what's always.
Now, John, be quiet.
Here's what's always been the case. If Donald Trump wants to do this, he'll be successful. If he wants to stand up and say, you know what, we do have to solve our immigration issues, and we do need to solve some of these, have a path to legality for some of these people. But here's what I'll promise you. If you'll work with me to secure the border first, I promise you I'll back you on solving these immigration issues. You know what? He'd get overwhelming bipartisan support for that.
I bet he does it.
Well, I'm waiting to see.
What?
But no, hold on.
Okay.
But they have not. But no Republican has campaigned on that in the last 6 years.
Right now, we're trying to get the cabinet in. Y'all are criticizing us for not getting the cabinet.
Let me say why
in a week.
Here's the problem with that concept by Franklin. The reason no Republican has campaigned on that is because we campaigned on it in just the opposite. We said, we'll give you your fix. Reagan said it. We'll give you your fix if you all will cooperate with us on securing the border law. And guess what? We trusted the Democrats. Twice we've trusted the Democrats. We did our end on the immigration side, and then they pulled the rug out from under us on the wall side. So the problem, Franklin, is your people have no integrity about keeping their end of the bargain. And now you're amazed that Republicans don't trust you?
I tell you what, I've got a solution for the immigration issue. You ready?
Mm-hmm. Dun, dun, dun.
First of all, we've got to do what Trump says. Let's get rid of the crooks, people breaking the law.
You talking about the Democrat mayors or the immigration?
Yeah, all of them.
Okay.
No, on the immigration issue. But any immigrants that have been employed 1 year or more, and their employers will stand up for them, and they fill out the forms and so forth, and the employers become just like a green card, responsible for them, and they have to keep registering and then they have to make an effort to start getting their citizenship. I'd be okay with that.
But you have to secure the border first.
But you have to secure the border first. And I think that's where Mr. Trump's going to be going.
Okay.
Is that okay with you?
If that's what he's going to do, I think he'll find a lot of support.
It'll work for me.
Hey! We just solved that problem. Right here. Whoop.
In other words, by going with the Republican idea that we've had all along.
Actually, the Democratic idea.
Yeah, but your idea was to pull the rug out from under us before you kept your part of the bargain.
Your idea was we're going to deport 12 million people.
Actually, the majority of us didn't say that, Franklin.
All of your candidates.
What we said was we want to secure the border. We've always said we want to secure the border. And we've made deals with you all twice to do it, and you all didn't keep your end of the bargain.
Mexico is preparing for a wave mass deportations under President Trump.
By the way, Franklin, I've said this before on the show. Mexico is building a wall on their southern border.
Let me ask you a question. You know, we talk about this wall, and I know Mr. Trump's going to build a wall that we can just look at.
The European countries are building walls now.
Well, I know, but why don't we just build fences and put some landmines in between them?
Well, look,
put one on the nation
that's
side,
actually,
on the American side, put landmines
that's
in
actually a good example of one of the problems that you're going to see with the press with the Trump presidency, Steve. They've actually taken his statement that I'm going to build a wall. And I will tell you, I understood that a wall didn't mean a physical wall the entire length. I understood that a wall meant...
You did, huh?
I did, Franklin.
Did you say that in here?
Actually, I did, Franklin. I said there are surveillance... Franklin, there are surveillance ways.
Saying that.
Franklin, a wall is something that keeps people out. Doesn't necessarily mean a physical wall. There are parts of that border that you can't physically build a physical wall. So, yes, we all understood that. But his people in the media have already started going, oh, look, he's not keeping his promise.
He's not going to do it.
The point is, parts of it will have to have an actual physical wall. Shares in the company that built the wall around Jerusalem for the Israeli government shot up after the election. By the way, here's another interesting one. You know what the shares in Smith & Wesson did the day after election?
Oh, I bet they went crazy.
No, it went down 14%.
They went down because they can't because they can't fleece anybody with their lives.
No, they would have gone up if Hillary.
Of course it is. Y'all went 8 years. The president didn't try to introduce one piece of gun control. No, he didn't.
Oh, he tried to do executive orders, Franklin. That's
Not
what we were
one piece
afraid
of gun control legislation to remove guns from anybody, and y'all sold more guns in 8 years than you sold in the 25 years before that.
Franklin, he put regulations
and you paid
in.
higher prices
he
for
put
it.
regulation. Actually, he didn't.
Yes, you did.
He put regulations.
What happened to your ammunition costs?
He had well, that's because you all were trying to talk about a 100% tax on ammunition. And you ran a candidate who said you ran a candidate who said she would actually have a litmus test for Supreme Court nominees, and one of them was the Heller decision because she thought the Heller decision was wrong. So that's why people bought. And on top of it, Franklin, I didn't buy a single gun that I didn't want anyway. I like guns.
I know you like guns.
Are the price of guns coming back down again?
They've been down. They haven't been particularly up.
I might go buy another one now.
Actually, the AR-15 prices are pretty reasonable right now.
Ford Motor Company.
Leaving the country.
Still planning on putting this plant in Mexico. What do you think's going on there? They said that they're leaving jobs They're leaving jobs in. They wouldn't be losing any jobs in Mexico.
Losing any jobs in the U.S.?
I mean, in
but that's not
Michigan.
the point.
They
They
wouldn't
won't be
losing.
gaining any jobs in Michigan.
That's right. But that's why they say they're going ahead and do this. What's going to happen, you think, going forward?
Well, I think when he lowers the corporate tax rate like he's talking about, you'll see a lot of the drug companies are actually sitting with a lot of money offshore. And they've already indicated that if we lower that corporate tax rate, they will be repatriating that money and they'll start expanding their businesses here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope they do. We'll see.
I want to ask this question. What do you think is going to happen with Bergdahl, the guy that was the...
I hope he'll be convicted of treason and thrown in Leavenworth.
Well, do you think this has been stalled?
I think it has.
Yeah, I do too. What's your opinion, Franklin? Do you think the Bergdahl case has been stalled until the election's over with?
I see no reason to conclude that. Well, I mean, none of the people running in the election are involved in that decision.
We know the investigation was stalled because one of the generals in charge of it came out and said it was. And then he was pressured to reach a conclusion that he didn't want to reach.
John, I've got a question that you might be able to answer. You know, we're going to build up our military going forward, it sounds like. With all the crybabies, you think we're going to find anybody that be in the military?
I think there's plenty of people that'll be in the military. This thing is a cultural thing. Right now, I don't think our culture is doing well because we've got an entire generation that's been spoiled. They've been given a participation trophy, and these are the people that are out pitching the fit in the street, even though they didn't vote, they didn't participate, but they're upset at the results. But I think there's plenty of Americans out there that will reach the call. And I will say, you have to be smart about this stuff. We've got the new Zumwalt class of destroyers out there. We just commissioned one. I think we've got 2 more coming online. They have guns that will shoot around 70 to 80 miles with pinpoint accuracy. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Guess what we have on the ships right now?
What?
No shells. You know why? The shells cost $1 million a piece. $1 million a bullet. So we've got destroyers out there with guns that we don't have any bullets for because we can't afford the bullets. And there's a lot of things involved in this. The company that produces them, their explanation, which is actually a reasonable explanation, they said, look, when you came to us and you asked us to design this ship, you told us you were going to buy 20 of them. When you're going to buy 20 of them, we can produce enough rounds at a lower per round cost. But then you cut it back to 3. When you only have us produce 3 of them, we can't tool up and produce the shells for less than 800 to 1,000 to $1 million apiece. So we've got to be smart about how we do this stuff. And I think a businessman like Trump will bring some business judgment to these things.
I think he'll do a lot of good judgments towards business. Are you looking forward to getting started with this new transition? Do you think Trump, he has no experience?
He has no experience in government. He has
no
no experience
in
in running big enterprises.
I understand. But what's going to happen is Washington, the Democrats out of Washington, are going to do everything they can to criticize that and to keep him bogged down and try to keep things from happening every way they can.
Well, look, Steve, Franklin says I'm hypocritical. I defended the Republicans and Mitch McConnell when he said that we're going to try and put Obama out of office in 2012. I'll defend the Democrats. They're the opposition party. Mm-hmm. And it makes the country stronger when you have an opposition party that points out, and there are things that he'll do wrong that maybe should be pointed out. So I'm not against that.
Let me ask you this. What about Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren?
Now, Warren, I think, took a particularly nasty tone this week that was out of place with the newness of the election and American
and she just
electoral system.
She absolutely went nuts.
Especially since she's lied about her own ethnicity in her campaigns.
Well, she's Indian, isn't she?
She claims she was. She can't prove any of it. And took minority positions that would have gone to real minorities had she not lied on her application forms.
What about Nancy Pelosi?
I think right now. They delayed the vote. They were going to have the vote this week. So Franklin talked about all the turmoil in the Republican Party. The story last week was Paul Ryan's not going to be. These Republicans are going to pitch a fit. Well, guess what? This week, yesterday, they more or less voted Paul Ryan will be the incoming Speaker of the House. But Nancy Pelosi, they were supposed to meet tomorrow to elect her, and they've got a group of Democrats saying, hold on, we need to think about this.
We need
for a
some
while.
change.
So they've delayed the vote.
I heard that too. They're going to think about changing the vote because they think now they need some change at the top.
Now, I don't want them to. I want them to keep Nancy Pelosi.
Well, she's good for Cocoa Puffs. China's offering Trump some positive and open cooperation going forward. What do you think's going on?
I think they're trying to figure out what the new administration's going to be. We need to let Franklin talk.
Go ahead, Franklin. I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think most of these countries are going to start out that way, at least. Russia did too. I'm not so sure about that one.
Well, let me ask this question: If there is a tax put on tariffs coming out of China, what's going to happen to our debt to China?
All these things have repercussions on both sides.
I mean, we owe China a lot of money right now, don't we?
Well, you could argue about what that means. It means that they've bought bonds here. I mean, no matter who buys them, we still owe them.
Yeah, but they could call them due.
Well, that's part of our debt.
They can sell them. But the problem is they don't have anywhere else to put their money. That's the part of this that nobody talks about. They put it here because it's a safe investment for them.
Look, I think some of this it gets kind of carried away when you say, well, what's China going to do if we impose a tariff? What you have to understand is Trump is right from the standpoint of all of life is a negotiation. Mm-hmm. And so if you go into an antique store and you see something that you like, and you go, well, that's the most beautiful, let's say you're looking at an antique sword. That's the most beautiful sword I've ever seen. Boy, I've looked for one of those for years. I've really, really wanted one of those. The first thing that owner of the antique store hears is this guy's on the hook. He really wants this. So when you go, well, can you take a little bit off? Nope, can't take any off. The price is the price. So life is a negotiation. And what the Chinese are doing when you elect someone like Trump is they're going, you know what? This guy might actually slap a tariff on our goods. We better make some concessions if we don't want that. The problem with Obama was the world in general viewed him as a weak horse. People don't respect a weak horse, and they don't negotiate with a weak horse. They negotiate with a strong horse. They respect a strong horse.
What's he doing in Greece right now?
Obama?
Yeah.
Well, you know, they're the second largest debtor nation to us, so I guess he's making friends with them.
I was reading an article about Greece, and you know, they've got some real problems. They're letting people retire.
By the way, he was met by protesters. Yeah. Mr. Popular was met by protesters.
Yeah. All right, before we leave, we've got a guest just came into the studio. I want to end our show today on a very good point. And Chip Kaler from the Cleveland Elks Lodge is in, and I'll let him announce what he's wanting to talk about.
Thanks, Steve. This Saturday at 3 p.m. at our lodge at 235 2nd Street, we're going to be holding our second annual Veterans Appreciation Cookout. All veterans and active duty members are welcome at the Elks Lodge. We're excited about the opportunity to have a meal with them and talk to them about their service, thank them for their service. The Elks Lodge nationwide has always believed in supporting veterans. When the soldiers came home from World War I, they didn't have Walter Reed and they didn't have hospitals. The Elks Lodge stepped in, built hospitals, built recovery units in small areas, and that's where the Veterans Administration grew their hospital plan out of. The Elks have long stood with our military, and we just appreciate the opportunity to have them at our lodge this Saturday, November 19th at 3 p.m. Thank you, Steve.
All right, gang. There it is.
Good.
Anything you want to say in closing today, Franklin?
Same thing I said last week. I wish the president well, and I hope it works out the best for the country.
I think that's nice. I will say there's a little anecdotal story. There's a police officer down in Florida, stopped a guy. The guy took off high-speed chase. They pull over. The guy comes over, drags the police officer out of his car, is beating and kicking him. A concerned concealed carrier who was by shot the guy and saved the police officer's life.
Oh, another savior story.
Concealed carrier saved a law enforcement officer.
All right, until next week. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Backfire with Steve Hickson, John Stanberry, and Franklin Chansey. Catch them again on Whoop FM at noon